Disaccharides are carbohydrates that consist of two monosaccharides joined together. These two monosaccharides are joined together by a glycosidic linkage or bond. They are joined together by, okay, let's say O. Just put the O glycosidic. I will explain that later. Glycosidic linkage or bond. We have two types of glycosidic linkage. We have the N and we have the O. O simply means oxygen is joining two of them together. So di simply means carbohydrate consisting of two sugars. Now, please put down, let's complete that guy. Disaccharides can be hydrolyzed into simpler units. Disaccharides can be hydrolyzed into simpler units. Examples, let's start with maltose, lactose. Which of these is table sugar? Sucrose. All right, so these are the three major disaccharides we're going to be looking out for. That does not mean that is the only one we have. I'll just stick to this guy majorly. So let's look at the first one. Let's look at maltose. We're going to talk about almost everything about maltose before we move down to lactose. So what you just need to do is you need to understand why maltose is somehow different from lactose and why lactose is somehow different from sucrose. So at least it helps you to understand this better. All right. Please put down. Maltose consists of two glucose units. Two glucose units. That's the first part. Maltose is the main product of digestion of starch by amylase. Now, maltose is comprised of two glucose units and it is the main product of digestion of starch. If you actually take a starchy food and it breaks down by an enzyme called amylase, right? Starch is actually, a polysaccharide that contains so many units of glucose. So the glucose will not just detach as single. If you have something that is let's say, if you have carbon that is C20, right, and you want to break it down, you will not just start breaking it down one. Maybe you cut it into two to give 3 and 17. Is it not so? You now go to the one that is 3 and now splits it, right? So that is basically what we have here. Starch comprised of long glucose units. So when you now actually digest it by amylase, right, it's now give what? Maltose. Now when this maltose undergo hydrolysis, which I told us, upon hydrolysis, disaccharide can split into simpler units. Is it not so? So when this guy undergo hydrolysis, maltose enzyme, this enzyme will now hydrolyze maltose to give what? 2 glucose units. So take note of that. So maltose is made up of 2 glucose units joined by, note, maltose is made up of 2 glucose units joined by alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond or linkage. It's made up of 2 glucose units joined by alpha 1,4. Now this alpha simply means that the first, please look up. Alpha means the first unit of the first glucose. The OH has to be what? Do you know what it means to be alpha? It means the OH has to be what? Now this structure is beta, so we cannot use this one like this. So you need to swap this guy. You know so. I'm not interested in the second guy, but we're still going to keep it as alpha. This is the first glucose, and this is the second guy. Now this is 1, 2, 3, 4. It means that we are using the carbon 1 of the first 1. At position 1, we are joining it to which position of the second guy? 4. So now this is position 1 and this is position 4. Glycosidic linkage simply means removing water. Now look at this. I'll now say OH. Take OH from one side and take H from the other side. You have removed water, is it not so? So now look at what I'm going to do here. I have succeeded in removing water, is it not so? What I now have left is what? Because of the chemistry in me, like, because of the fact that I'm a chemistry person, some textbook used to write this in like this. But I don't like writing like, because I always presume this place is what? Carbon. So what I normally do is that I always use it. So this is actually maltose. You can see that we have joined this together. If I add water to this guy back, what do you think will happen? It will split. Maltose. So I would like us to quickly run through it. If you have any question. So let's look at lactose. Previously we talked about maltose. Please, maltose is sugar found in malt sugar. Lactose is milk sugar, and this guy is table sugar. All right, this is the one we use in the house. So let's actually look at lactose. Now, the first thing is that, please put down, lactose is the sugar found in milk. Let's take it line by line. I want us to take it line by line. Lactose is the sugar found in milk. Full stop. It is number 2. It is made up of galactose and glucose joined by a beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. So let's look at this guy. The first one is that, what was the first one I gave to us, please? It's a milk sugar, right? Now, lactose is basically comprising of galactose and glucose. Okay, so in this case now, we want to start with galactose. Remember that the linkage is what? Beta 1,4. So put this one down here. But the most important, please, the most important of this sign is always the first one. The second guy can actually vary. Right? The most important one is always the first one. Because if they say beta, it means this, once if you change this guy, it's no longer going to be lactose. On carbon 4, we must always use the carbon 4 of the other compound. Is it not so? Now, this OH is down. OH on this other side is up. So remove water here. When you do that, so please look up, let's take sucrose. Sucrose is present in cane sugar. Sucrose is present in cane sugar. That means if you eat sugar cane, that's sugar. Is actually, and that is what they use in making table sugar. On hydrolysis, sucrose gives glucose and fructose. On hydrolysis, sucrose gives glucose and fructose. Sucrose consists of glucose and fructose. Consists of glucose and fructose joined together by C1 and C2, C1 of glucose and C2 of fructose. That is via now, if you look at this guy, this is actually glucose. This is carbon 1 of glucose, and this is carbon 2 of fructose. Remember, carbon 2 of fructose is actually the anomeric carbon, right? So we turned this stuff, like the structure, basically, this is supposed to be like this, but it was turned. Anomeric carbon is a carbon that are attached to two oxygens. So if you notice this and this, so we flipped the fructose so that, because we need the carbon 2. Normally, if I had written the fructose, carbon 2 was supposed to be by the right. So how were we supposed to come and draw the, I don't know if you understand what I mean. From the structure of glucose, this is a normal structure of fructose that we have been doing all this while. OH, CH2OH, is it not so? So this is carbon 1 and this is what? Carbon 2. So now, how are we supposed to come and join the OH on this carbon 2 with the OH on this side? If you notice, it's actually somehow complex, right? So that's why we now turned the what? The fructose, so that this carbon 2 will now be facing the what? Carbon 1. Do you understand? So in the case of this, you don't really have to try and stress yourself on how to, just grab and understand how to draw this. This is a carbon 2 that was initially at the right hand side. We turned it. Please note this, that the first two sugars, that is the maltose and the lactose, they are reducing sugars. They are what? Why? Because there is a free anomeric carbon. Why? Remember, those anomeric carbon were originally aldehydes or ketone carbon, is it not so? Now, if they are free, it means they can be used for oxidation. But in sucrose, both anomeric carbon is what is used in this bonding. In the previous one, we only use one anomeric carbon, which is 1, right? In lactose, we only used how many anomeric carbon? 1. In maltose, we only use how many? 1. You people don't understand. Let me break it to your understanding. Those stuff we say, the reason why we say all monosaccharides are reducing sugars is because those guys have either aldehydes or what? Ketone functional group. And those aldehydes and ketone functional group is now what will now convert to anomeric carbon in the cyclic form, is it not so? So as far as the anomeric carbon is not involved in this bonding, right? It means that guy can still act as a reducing sugar. In the case of lactose, only one of the anomeric carbon was used to form this bond. That means the one on the right hand side was still free, right? In the case of maltose, we only used one. But in the case of sucrose, we are using both the anomeric carbon. Carbon 1 of this glucose is the anomeric carbon, is it not so? Carbon 2 of the fructose is also the what? So the two carbons that were supposed to be used for the oxidation, right, has now been captured. So it's actually been tied down. It's just like this my hand now. If I'm supposed to use it to drag something down, and now use my hand now to shake somebody. Do you understand? So that hand now has been tied. So in this case now, anomeric carbon is what is responsible for oxidation. Is it not so? In a case when it was straight chain, that was the aldehyde and the ketone group. When you convert it to ring, it becomes the anomeric carbon. So as long as any one of them is free, it can still exhibit reducing property. But once both of them are locked, it can no longer exhibit that property. I don't know if you get me. So the reason why sucrose is a non-reducing sugar, because both anomeric carbon is involved in the what? Linkage.